Thank you. We are out of executive session, had some discussion regarding contracts with no action to be taken. So we'll move on to commissioner comments and reports, and Commissioner Toman, start us off or get us rolling.
Okay, on December 23rd, as part of my outreach, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Executive Board meeting, just reaching out to getting some of their concerns and sharing what the commission was doing. On December 28th, Commissioner Lloyd and I, as co-chairs or whatever of the County Fire Committee, met with Mike Bornasian, John De Leon, Jean Legursky, and Gary McLean to review the legal responsibilities and options for county fire, looking at short, intermediate, and ideal long-term solutions. There's another meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, with Fire District 1 and the Green River Fire Department and City, with that same group of people plus those outside entities, to discuss possible agreement options for fire services in the county. The purpose is to compile a list of possible options for county fire and bring it back to the commission to select which one they prefer. Warden Bornasian has also offered to provide a scaled back budget as one of the options. December 23rd, I went to the airport and met with Devin Brubaker regarding the letter for air service support. So before you leave today, if you could give Sally a little bit of time to update that, or if you can't do it today, to get that letter signed. Volunteer boards and appointments. I kind of got involved in this one through the back door with a couple of boards, meeting with De Leon. The requirements for some of these boards are not apparent when they go to the website to sign up to get on a board. So I think the conclusion is that De Leon will look at the legal qualifications for each board that Sally has provided him a list of, and maybe help us draft the pertinent questions that should go with the application. Does that sound appropriate, Mr. De Leon?
Yeah, I mean, I can work with wherever that is, whoever's working on that. I can work with whoever is working on it. And
I think it's Sally and Ashley are kind of working between the computer process and Sally doing the manual process. And I think Mr. McLean is fine with them working on it and you identifying the legal questions that go with that application.
sounds good.
Coalition of Local Governments, I'm dealing with the bookwork as Secretary Treasurer. I did receive a call from Randall Luthi, the governor's energy advisor, regarding the federal natural resource policy account funds that the CLG uses to fund their legal work on our behalf with all the federal plans and projects. I also put another call into him asking him about the Unit 2 at Jim Bridger and the governor's temporary emergency suspension order. That will allow Unit 2 to continue, to see what else we can do as a county, and also to begin more of a dialogue with the governor's office and what's happening in our county, so that we're starting to get a heads up and not after the fact. So that's my intent there. Mr. Luthi, I've worked with him before, and so I think we can maybe get more of a dialogue going with what's happening in Sweetwater County and the governor's office. The Ashley National Forest and the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area. I mentioned last time that I thought we should write a letter requesting a presence in Sweetwater County. So I drafted a letter. Sally sent it out. Again, we need to have you sign that. Sweetwater County is a gateway to the gorge. I asked her to send a carbon copy to the two chambers. Probably should send them to the two cities as well if they also want to draft a letter. They used to have a Forest Service office in Green River. They closed that down. Then they had a part-time staff member at the chamber. They have nothing right now. And Ranger Booher is also in support of this and would like to see us send his boss a message, who would be Supervisor Sue Eichhoff of the Ashley National Forest in Vernal. So we have drafted a letter. The Board of County Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to participate in planning meetings for the forest and the National Recreation Area. The most recent stakeholder meeting for the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area was well attended and some very productive opportunities were identified. One of the items identified was the lack of a presence by the Forest Service in Sweetwater County for public outreach. Without a Forest Service office in Green River or anywhere in Sweetwater County, there is not a presence by your staff to provide information to the public. With Interstate 80 going through our county, we are the gateway to the gorge from the north. We would ask that you consider providing at least a part-time employee, perhaps partnering with the Chamber of Commerce in either Green River or Rock Springs to fill this void. We look forward to seeing expanded opportunities on the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area, especially on the Wyoming side. So for the record, that's the letter. The sheriff offered to provide safety and security training at our last meeting. I would like to see that we schedule that. I do not know how long it would last, but maybe we could ask Sally to make a call
Well,
and see if we could do it maybe before our next Monday or sometime.
Yeah, I think you're right on. But the thing about it is there's more to it than just active training. There's policies to be developed. There are more than just an active shooter for the reasons to either lock a building, lock down just an area or that type of thing. You got active shooter outside, you got active shooter in the building, you got active shooter at adjacent building, you've got bomb threats, you've got whatever. So we really need that to begin with, but we need a whole lot more from what I've experienced dealing with year and a half of bomb threats at a high school and dealing with lockdowns in schools for whatever the emergency is. So, yeah, I think that's just a piece of it, Commissioner Toman. You're right on. But we need to get HR engaged and we need to get Gene engaged. One of the things we experienced this morning that we observed are the locks. And right now you can set up things through technology where those doors automatically lock at a push of a button, all of them, for safety reasons. I mean, anytime you start moving into it, and I would suggest visit with the school district, but you're going to find out if you move into the security issue, dealing with the issues like we dealt this morning, it's going to be costly. But as we move forward, the only thing I would remind you is the same thing we asked ourselves in the school business. As those costs are very expensive, we always constantly ask ourselves, what do you value a life as? What's the dollar? You know what? Nobody could ever come up with that. A kid, a worker, yourself, a visitor. So with that, I agree 100%. And I think it's something we can get done working with the Sheriff's Department, but we need to engage HR because it does involve policies and stuff. And much of that in the school districts came through the HR department and with assistance of the sheriff and the assistant, well, I'll just say assistance to law enforcement. Oh, and then we got to engage our building and facilities people because there's some things that we're going to have to have assessed. So I'm 100% right on, but it's more than just that. But it's kind of, I agree with you. It's funny, training last week and then what happened this morning. So I will compliment everybody. I think everybody was very, very well-to-do and understood why we did what we did and willing to make the sacrifices to be there and leave their personal belongings behind. I think I commend everybody for what they did and how they cooperated this morning, even our visitors that were in the building that were expected to come with us. So anyhow, that's all I'll say on that. You're right on. I'm sorry I took your thunder.
Well, maybe we should ask the chairman to appoint you as a chair of a committee to look into it. You do have the most expertise, I'm sure, or at least more than I have.
I'm more than happy to assist HR and building the ground and law enforcement, but it's got to come from HR.
So I think
They've got to take the lead on it. I'm not going to do executive director work.
So I
If
think
we needed an executive director, then we need to figure out how to hire one.
so I think going forward with the training, the original suggestion is absolutely excellent, and we should do that. As far as other items, perhaps we can chat with the sheriff about that and see if what kind of, maybe a needs assessment. Do we need to do more? Are we in good shape with how much of a threat we visit or have? Where are we at? So that'd be a good discussion to have. So Commissioner Tillman, did you have more?
No,
Okay.
thank you. though.
A question though, going back to the letter for,
Ashley National Forest
you
or the
very
other
much.
one?
huh?
The Ashley?
Yeah, I got questions for that, please.
Yes.
When they were here, they were at the chamber, weren't they?
They had their own building. They sold it. It's up by the bowling alley.
That's where it was at?
Yeah, yes.
All right, so as we move forward, has there been any checking with Ashley as to how that's going to happen, or is it just a request that they figure it out on their own, or what?
Well, that's why I suggest maybe they contact the chambers. At our federal agency meeting in the mornings is where we got the idea to write. Actually, I got the idea from our stakeholder meeting with the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area. Steve Core, communications person with the city, called in on Zoom and said that would be one of his recommendations, that we get a presence back in Sweetwater County through a staff person. And then the ranger said at our federal agency meeting suggested that we write a letter to his supervisor, because it would
Okay.
mean more coming from us and the cities than if he requests it.
No,
And-
you've answered my question now.
Yeah, okay,
Very good. Thank you.
yes.
Commissioner Lloyd.
All right, thank you. First of all, I want to thank Brandon and IT for helping fix my computer, and Sally for getting me a paper packet. I kind of felt I was doing a homage to former Commissioner Wally Johnson today, as I did the meeting in paper, and realized,
Paper.
man, computers are so much easier to do it by. But thanks to those guys for helping me out with that. I want to just reach out to all of our employees and hope you had a great holiday season. And I'm excited for the new year. And I want to thank each of our employees for all the stuff they do to make things great. And, a couple of meetings ago, we did highlight, but we talk often about how difficult the COVID time has been. And I don't think, I think our janitorial crew has been more than phenomenal and need that recognition. So thanks to them and all of our employees. Couple liaison stuff. I will be starting the joint 911 telecommunications committee to take a look at the contract. It looks like we're going to discuss an intergovernmental meeting, the format we want to take, and and we'll get the committee set up at that point, and we'll move forward. Also, the only liaison meeting I had in the last 2 weeks was I did have a joint telecom 911 meeting, and attended that meeting. Really no major comments or any situations to share at that meeting. And then also just follow up with what Mary said. Working on the county fire review committee, and we'll meet again tomorrow. Want to congratulate Golden Hour. They had a great event on New Year's where they celebrated New Year's, but to make it easier for folks, they did the countdown at noon. So it worked better for the folks there, and you weren't up as late, and it was a good time. But part of what they did also, though, was this was Golden Hour's actually 50th year of being in service. And they had a big event plan that unfortunately was canceled due to COVID. So they kind of use this as a 50th celebration. And if you're ever down at the building in the hallway, they've kind of created a painted timeline with according scrapbooks to kind of show over what's happened the last 50 years at Golden Hour Senior Center. And kind of a neat display, and just want to congratulate them on the outreach they continue to do and the work they've done over the last few years, the last 50 years. I put in my notes, I want to congratulate Commissioner Smith on being named chairman. I know I kind of had my eyes on it also, but I'm excited about what Jeff will do, and want Jeff to know that I'll work hard and to support him and this commission and the county as I always have. And I'm excited about the next year. So with that, a couple others, while we were in our meeting, I did get I'm taking a look at a quick break. I want to thank Larry Lloyd because we do know he is retiring, and I do know we have an event for that coming up. But I want to thank Larry for all his years and efforts at the events complex, and talk about a visionary, a guy that really looked at a project and found ways to grow and develop it. Larry will truly be missed. But I'm also excited to see what Candy can do in the future, and I think she'll be a great replacement. I got actually a text message from a constituent during comments, and actually after Senator Combs spoke, that said that there have actually been many counties and that have been sending either commissioners or clerks to joint corporations to present at during discussions about redistricting, to kind of prevent, to kind of stand their ground, I guess, kind of concept. And I did take a quick look during the meeting, and it doesn't look like there's any joint corporations meeting coming up soon. Okay, January 12th. But if, maybe that's something as a commission we should discuss, if we do want someone to eventually go down and represent us and have be a presence, because I do think this is a big issue down the road. And depending on the date and time, I would be willing to do that if needed. So, and Cindy's looking it up for me, and I'll just go to my other comments while we finish. And the last is, I just want to thank, this morning was interesting. I mean, welcome to being the chairman, Mr. Smith. Commissioner Smith, I don't think any of us expected the morning we had, but just have to tell you, we are really blessed with a great first responders throughout the community, and specific law enforcement. And I want to give a thanks out to the Sheriff's Department and Green River Police Department for their work and efforts today, and creating a safe situation, making what could be a potentially crazy situation a safe and secure situation. And I want to thank our law enforcement that were involved this morning for being part of that. So, and with that, that's all my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd.
Jeff, Cindy's got corporations date.
Yeah.
It's January 12th. I don't think my thing, in Casper.
Casper.
So I will probably be going.
Will you email us? And okay.
Well, it's just yeah.
12th next week. I'm in Casper next week already.
Okay.
Hmm.
There you go.
Perfect.
But I'm working. We'll see how that goes. Let's discuss and have some representation. You think you're going, Cindy? Okay, that's true.
It's available on Zoom also, isn't it? Or not?
Oh, if they're talking redistricting, they're probably going to keep it as quiet as they can.
You have to fill out a form to request a comment,
Okay.
and they'll let you in.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Mr. Wendling.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to start out and echo the same things that Commissioner Lloyd did with regards to Larry Lloyd and his service to the. I'm sorry. Let's start over. I need to use a microphone.
There you go.
Thank you. I'd like to echo the same as Commissioner Lloyd had mentioned regarding Larry Lloyd and his service provided over the number of years to the events complex and the citizens. He worked hard to bring in many events, had his staff engaged, and supported them when they went after those events, and everything that they brought to the county and the towns and cities was always with the focus of how can we bring recreation and visitation to Sweetwater County, and which impacted dollars to the county. So I just want to thank Larry Lloyd for spearheading that, and the staff under him that supported him for that, and wish him best of luck in his new journeys, wherever they may take them, and his wonderful bride. So good luck. And then also same echo, Commissioner Lloyd, you said it very well regarding law enforcement this morning. And I just want to echo those same words, and there's no way of saying it any better than you did. Thank you. Just to let you know, the opioid settlement is somewhat coming together. We do have the attorney, Charlie Barnum, that's representing Sweetwater County. We're all across the board sometimes with what the payouts are going to be. and settlement with sideboards on how that money can be spent. But the only reason I know settlement's getting closer in dollars is I had to hook up with him over the holidays, New Year's Eve, I believe it was, and sign the settlement papers that were due this Monday, or due Sunday night at midnight. So the settlement papers are signed, and he will be in to tell us more about it. And also, once he knows what the sideboards are for that money. And I noticed yesterday there was a little bit of an article out through across Wyoming regarding the funding, and they kind of pointed at some sideboards, but they weren't real well defined. So I'll wait for Charlie so I don't screw it up. Also, to bring you up to speed, there is a stormwater group that kind of meets, and Commissioner Smith that started out with myself with representation from the mayor's office, and we invited Green River, but Green River always has a system in place of funding stormwater. It's a matter of group meeting and continue talking with if those are things we want to do. I've been hesitant to mention too much because talking with Gene, there are some projects, but specifically what funding, not sure how that all happens. I think it's to tie it together a little bit more and then fill you as commissioners in. But it's I want to hear more from, I think we want to hear more from Gene as this maybe comes together, but it's just not ripe at this moment, I feel, to do a lot about it. But I think it's worthy to mention that there's been a couple meetings, I think just 2 so far, and there'll be a 3rd one this next week. So, or there'll be, yeah, next week. Also, I notified Lincoln County that we would participate in the legislative reception in Cheyenne. So we'll have our legislators meet with us for dinner during the conference, WCCA legislative conference. So that's all taken care of. And what's important is to keep in mind, Sally, when that bill comes through, that it's be divided in force between the 4 counties as in the past. I already talked about Mike when he was here going to Colorado. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Wendling. Any questions, comments? Concerns? None. Excellent, thank you. I'm up next, and my favorite topic always is ambulance, and visited with Bailey Doctor. She's making great progress. Obviously, things were a little bit slower during the holidays, but doing really well on moving forward, checking out equipment that's available, spaces that are available to house ambulance. And she's had Aaron Reinhardt came out to help her with interviews for an assistant in the department. And so she said that went great and was very grateful for his help. He is on a vacation to Paris right now with the family or with his wife for an anniversary. So they're taking a minute to get some things taken care of, but they will be back together, meeting shortly to get together what kind of equipment might be needed, what the cost should be for those things, and negotiations will continue. She does expect that a proposal will be ready for us at our next meeting. That's in 2 weeks. So we can look forward to that and have something to talk about. Southwest Counseling, they doing quite well, and appreciate all the work that they're doing. They were actually able to restructure their pay scale. They were losing people and not being able to rehire people because of the pay scale that they were under and using at the time. So they were able to restructure their pay scale within budget constraints, as well as provide a stipend for kind of an end of the year stipend. Thank you for working through COVID kind of thing. So I appreciate the work that the board's doing over there. And Board of Health, they are offering vaccine clinics every Friday here in January. It's a stop on by 11 till 4, I believe, are the hours. So if you need a first, a second, or a booster, or anything in between, you're welcome to do that. Just stop on by. No appointments are necessary. And with that, I think that is my report. Any questions? All right, Commissioner Shanefield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as other commissioners have mentioned, Sweetwater County Events Complex Executive Director Larry Lloyd retired at the end of December. That was after 28 years of service to the events complex. So that's a really long time to dedicate your life to improving something for our community. So he started in January of 1993. He also plans on staying in our community and continuing to build. He's got some business ventures here as well. And he has a retirement party that's going to be January 6th. So coming right up at the Events Complex Bison Room from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So we should all try to stop in and tell him thank you. I know that our events complex is what it is because of Larry and the visions that he had and the work that he and his staff have put into that. So I wanted to say thank you to him. I had the opportunity to work with Larry, I had the opportunity to intern for Larry. And I really, truly appreciate everything he's done for our community. I don't think our community fully understands how awesome our events complex is. And to be able to bring in the events that we have, bring in the money that those people want to bring into our communities, to spend in our communities. It's a huge deal, and they've continued to look for new opportunities. And I look forward to what the new director, and we just got an announcement and it's been posted on Facebook as well today, that Candy Pendleton is the new executive director. So she's actually been involved with the events complex since she was a young girl. She began working there in 2002 and started as an event manager in 2014. And then she just started her new role at the executive director level January 1st. So I wanted to congratulate Candy as well and let her know that we continue to support the events complex and the work that they're doing in our community. And congratulations to Larry for his retirement. SEDC. So the 501c3, the bylaws have been signed and processed, and Eric and Kayla applied a few weeks ago and received the EIN number. Then that will be filed with the IRS the first of the year. Eric and Kayla are also finalizing dates for that Coffee with the County town hall meetings, and those will be starting in March, and they will be sending out additional information on those as soon as they get confirmations. Kayla has also been working with WWCC to launch a business education series and an entrepreneur support program. And so over the next few weeks, they will be sharing more information about that. We are also looking at our strategic planning and developing that. And SCDC and Sweetwater County were also highlighted in the December edition of Business in Focus magazine. And I can send that link out to anybody. It's kind of a follow-up article on the last publication that they did on Sweetwater County in 2019. And then kind of as an update, I reached out to Kayla over text when Senator Kolb was here. They have been in consistent contact with the governor's office in an attempt to stay on top of the ARPA funds and figuring out, where we can find money for these community projects that we have. And also I like his idea about kind of partnering that with some specific perfect tax funds as well. It's something we haven't had a lot of conversation around. Excuse me. So the museum staff has been busy installing that, and I'm sure now starting to take down the holiday exhibit. They wanted to thank the county for allowing us to use that area for the party. And they also wanted to say a big thank you for the commission for the approval of the connectivity project. And they wanted to thank Jean Legursky and the IT department for making it happen. They were very patient and persistent, and they've gotten it taken care of now, which is good. And they said all the other museum activities and services have really remained steady, including the store sales, thanks to Christmas shoppers and visitation, education series and everything. So nothing new there. Specific purpose tax. So as I discussed at the last, or as we discussed at the last intergovernmental meeting, there was a decision with the committee to ensure that everybody was interested in moving forward before we started moving at all with it. Because we understood that there's no way that we can move forward if not everybody is on board and supportive. So right before Christmas, the city of Rock Springs did vote in favor of moving forward with exploring this process. And the next step will be to have the committee meet again and decide on kind of how we want to move forward. There's been a lot of discussion around getting some community stakeholder groups put together and some community member input regarding, as Senator Cole brought up, a menu type option. And really looking at what we want to prioritize. I did reshare the old project list back out with the group so they could start looking at those projects and having those conversations. And Stiefel was a part of the last conversation. We're going to bring them back.
Good.
Really figure out what the best way to present this is, and, you know, ensuring that we get the input from our community as well before we take any major steps moving forward. And then I also wanted to say thank you to our first responders this morning, which was dispatch all the way through the Sheriff's Department and Green River Police Department and the Rock Springs Police Department. We really appreciate everything you guys do to keep us safe and what you do every day as well. So thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield. Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Shanefield,
Yes.
Sixpenny. As you're meeting with those people, maybe it's too early to tell. Is it appearing if any of the towns or cities are from your committee are getting some pushback or support of a special purpose?
So the city of Rock Springs was the only one that we weren't 100% sure. All of the other municipalities have voiced that they are in support. Obviously, there needs to be a lot of details worked out about, do we want to do a menu item, which then allows the public to basically pick their own cap when they're voting, the voters to do
Yeah.
that. And how do we want to move forward with that? How do we want to set up committee wise? Because right now we're just meeting as elected officials, and that really needs to be expanded to outside community members and stakeholders and things like that. So those are the details we're working through right now. I gauged that after the city of Rock Springs chose to move forward, that I think we have everybody on board that is at least interested in working through those details and looking at this and for the future.
Next steps for us.
Yep.
What are next steps for us?
So I think that we need to come to some sort of a consensus as a committee on a couple of different options. And then probably have a few discussions in intergovernmental and then turn something over to us as a commission to decide moving forward exactly what we want that to look like after we get everybody's buy-in and get some community feedback as well.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments for Commissioner Shanefield? Okay, any other business for this?
Yeah, I'd like to bring up something that I debated bringing it up in my report or not, but I'd like to throw it out there is I know we're right in the midst of moving forward with our budget, and we're kind of getting close to where determination of putting together costs now with personnel, costs with operations. Is it time, and capital is right there as well. But is it time to have a discussion regarding a cost of living for employees here in the near future?
Yes.
When I say in the near future, next meeting, or you want to wait?
I think we can, I mean, I'm in favor at dollar wise. I don't know. I think we maybe need to get a little further down the road with the budget to come up with a percent or a dollar amount, but I wholeheartedly feel like that's something we need to look very hard at. And if there's any possibility, it's something we need to do this year. So I'd open that up for other commissioners as well to comment on.
All right, well, yeah, okay. Lauren, do it.
I agree. I think
Mary?
we should start looking at it.
Mary?
I would like to see where our money is coming in before we get committed to anything as far as what we're going to do, though.
Mhm. Roy?
Yeah, I'd like to see where we end up financially, but I think it's a great discussion to have. And I think as a commission, we could even, as we start to look at things, we could prioritize, and we may want to even prioritize COLA over some of the, providing outside entities and those things. And those are ways we can cover that. But I think too often, we've often talked about, we wait till the very end of budget to have this discussion, when at that point you're already borrowing in reserves, you're already stressed, you haven't cut enough money, or you're still having to figure out more reductions. It's not fair. I think that discussion should happen earlier, because there are other areas we could also look at paring down. So I think at least having that discussion and then being able to finalize it when we get more to our dollars is the way to go. But I absolutely embrace that.
Yeah, one thing you said that I really appreciated, you used the word fairness of waiting on our people versus funding other things. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. So I'm really glad to see that and glad to hear it. And I would ask Sally, maybe put it on our agenda for the next meeting as an agenda item. Probably make it somewhat later so we get the agenda. If that's okay, Commissioner Smith,
Sounds good to me.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. Very good. Any other
Thank you.
comments?
Good
Any
job.
other business to? Fair enough. With no other business to come before this commission, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I so move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I too. Meeting adjourned.